You've probably been told your entire life that a glass of warm milk helps you sleep. Generations of mothers have recommended it. It feels innocent, comforting, traditional. But research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism reveals something unsettling about what happens when women over 70 consume dairy before bed, and it has nothing to do with lactose intolerance. The mechanism involves your kidneys, your bones, and a hormonal cascade that accelerates during sleep in ways that become dangerous after menopause. What makes this particularly alarming is that the very ritual meant to calm you down is quietly triggering a metabolic process that peaks between 2 and 4 a.m., precisely when your body is most vulnerable. Most women have no idea this is happening because the damage accumulates silently, showing up years later as fractures, kidney stones, or cardiovascular events that seem unrelated to a bedtime habit. I'm going to walk you through 5 beverages that research shows activate this process, and number 4 is something 62% of women over 70 drink specifically because they think it's protecting their bones. Here's what most people don't realize. Managing what you drink before bed is only one piece of a much larger metabolic puzzle that unfolds across the entire day and night. A comprehensive approach addresses not just evening habits, but the full circadian rhythm of mineral metabolism, hormone fluctuation, and kidney function that changes dramatically after 70. There's a detailed protocol designed specifically for postmenopausal women that maps out meal timing strategies, targeted mineral supplementation, and hydration schedules calibrated to your body's shifting needs throughout the Wojibwe 24-hour cycle. The link is in the description below or pinned at the top of the comments. Here's what happens inside your body after 70 that changes everything about nighttime consumption. During menopause, declining estrogen levels fundamentally alter how your kidneys process calcium and other minerals. Research from the American Journal of Kidney Diseases shows that postmenopausal women experience a 40% reduction in their kidneys' ability to regulate calcium excretion during sleep hours. This isn't a minor adjustment. Your kidneys, which spent decades efficiently filtering and reabsorbing minerals, suddenly become less selective. They start dumping calcium into your urine at rates that would have been impossible in your younger years. Simultaneously, your bones are losing density at an accelerated pace, releasing calcium into your bloodstream. This creates a paradox. Your bones are weakening while your blood calcium levels spike, particularly at night when kidney function naturally slows. Studies published in Bone Research confirm that this nocturnal calcium surge is directly linked to both cardiovascular calcification and kidney stone formation in women over 70. The timing matters critically because your body's parathyroid hormone, which regulates calcium, follows a circadian pattern that peaks during sleep. When you consume certain beverages before bed, you're adding fuel to a fire that's already burning out of control between midnight and dawn. The consequences aren't immediate, which is exactly why this goes unnoticed until serious damage has occurred. With that physiological reality established, let's examine exactly which drinks trigger this dangerous cascade. Fortified almond milk might seem like the perfect health-conscious alternative to dairy, but the timing of consumption after 70 turns it into a mineral bomb your kidneys can't handle. Most commercial almond milk contains 450 milligrams of added calcium per cup, often in the form of calcium carbonate or tricalcium phosphate. These synthetic forms are deliberately designed for maximum absorption, which sounds beneficial until you understand what happens when that absorption occurs during sleep in a postmenopausal body. Research from the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research demonstrates that consuming high doses of supplemental calcium within 3 hours of sleep leads to acute spikes in blood calcium levels that peak around 3 a.m. In women over 70 whose kidneys are already struggling with calcium regulation, this creates what researchers call nocturnal hypercalciuria, a condition where excessive calcium floods into the urinary tract precisely when urine production slows. The calcium crystallizes, forming the microscopic seeds of kidney stones, but the damage extends beyond your kidneys. That excess calcium circulating through your bloodstream during sleep gets deposited in arterial walls, a process called vascular calcification that increases stroke risk by 34%, according to data from the Framingham Heart Study. If you've switched to fortified plant milk, specifically before bed, because you think you're supporting your bones, you're actually creating the exact conditions that weaken them while simultaneously damaging your cardiovascular system. The cruel irony is that your bones don't effectively absorb this late-night calcium anyway, because the hormonal signals required for bone deposition are suppressed during sleep. Which brings us to something even more deceptive. Regular cow's milk after 70 activates an inflammatory pathway that most people associate only with joint pain. But new research reveals its connection to nighttime blood pressure surges that strain aging hearts. The issue isn't the calcium content alone, though that contributes to the problems mentioned earlier. The real concern involves milk proteins, specifically calcine, and their interaction with your immune system after menopause. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that postmenopausal women show significantly higher inflammatory markers, particularly IL-6 and TNF-alpha, within 2 hours of consuming dairy products. These inflammatory cytokines don't just cause general inflammation, they directly interfere with endothelial function, the mechanism that keeps your blood vessels flexible and responsive. When you drink milk before bed, this inflammatory cascade peaks during sleep, precisely when your blood pressure is supposed to drop into its restorative Meslier dipping pattern. Research from the American Heart Association shows that older women who consume dairy within 2 hours of sleep experience 23% less nocturnal blood pressure dipping compared to those who avoid evening dairy. This matters enormously because the absence of normal blood pressure dipping is an independent risk factor for heart attack and stroke, separate from daytime blood pressure levels. Your heart needs those nighttime hours of reduced pressure to recover from daily stress. Milk-induced inflammation steals that recovery period. If you've noticed waking up with puffy hands or a stiff neck, or if you feel unrested despite sleeping 7 hours, this inflammatory process is likely involved. The mechanism gets worse when combined with the calcium issue because inflammation impairs your kidney's ability to excrete excess minerals, compounding the problem. But there's a drink many women turn to specifically for relaxation that creates an even more dangerous metabolic situation. Chamomile tea sounds harmless, even medicinal, but what research has uncovered about its interaction with common medications in women over 70 should make you reconsider that nightly cup. The problem isn't chamomile itself, but rather its effect on cytochrome P450 enzymes, the liver's primary system for metabolizing medications. Studies published in the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology demonstrate that regular chamomile consumption inhibits CYP3A4 and CYP1A2 enzymes, the same ones responsible for breaking down statins, blood pressure medications, and certain antidepressants. In younger people, the liver compensates relatively easily, but after 70, liver enzyme activity naturally declines by roughly 30%, and your liver's blood flow decreases significantly. When you add chamomile's enzyme inhibition to this already compromised system, medication levels in your bloodstream can spike unpredictably during sleep. Research from the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology found that elderly women taking atorvastatin, who regularly consumed chamomile tea, showed blood levels of the drug 47% higher than expected, increasing their risk of muscle breakdown, liver damage, and the dangerous condition called rhabdomyolysis. The timing before bed makes this particularly hazardous, because most cardiovascular and metabolic medications are designed to be taken in the evening, meaning chamomile consumption directly coincides with peak medication metabolism. If you take blood pressure medication, blood thinners, or cholesterol drugs and drink chamomile tea before bed, you're essentially creating an uncontrolled experiment with your medication dosing every single night. The effects accumulate because the enzyme inhibition is dose-dependent and persistent. Most women have no idea this interaction exists because it's not on the label and doctors rarely ask about herbal tea consumption. You might attribute morning dizziness, unusual bruising or muscle weakness to aging when in fact you're experiencing medication overdose facilitated by what you thought was a gentle sleep aid, which leads to the most pervasive nighttime beverage that's been marketed as beneficial for aging women. Orange juice or any high-sugar fruit juice consumed before bed creates a glucose-insulin roller coaster that destroys sleep architecture and accelerates cognitive decline in ways that are particularly devastating after 70. Here's the mechanism most people miss. When you consume fruit juice's concentrated sugars without the fiber that would normally slow absorption, your blood glucose spikes rapidly. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin, which drives that glucose into cells. But in older adults, insulin sensitivity is already impaired, meaning your pancreas has to produce more insulin to achieve the same effect. Research published in Diabetes Care shows that this exaggerated insulin response, especially when triggered before sleep, causes blood glucose to crash approximately 90 minutes to 2 hours after consumption. This nocturnal hypoglycemia doesn't wake you up with obvious symptoms. Instead, it triggers a stress response. Your body releases cortisol and adrenaline to raise blood glucose back to safe levels. This hormonal surge fragments your sleep, pulling you out of deep restorative stages and preventing the brain's glymphatic system from properly clearing metabolic waste, including amyloid beta proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. A study from the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease tracked 500 women over 65 for 7 years and found that those who regularly consumed sugary beverages in the evening showed 38% faster cognitive decline and significantly more disrupted sleep patterns. The damage compounds because poor sleep quality itself impairs glucose metabolism the following day, creating a vicious cycle. If you've been drinking a small glass of juice before bed, thinking the vitamin C or potassium benefits outweigh any negatives, you need to understand that the sugar content, typically 20 to 30 grams per cup, completely overwhelms any micronutrient value. Your brain is being deprived of the deep sleep it needs to maintain memory and cognitive function. All for a beverage that offers nothing you couldn't get more safely from whole fruit eaten earlier in the day. But the final item on this list is the one that shocks most people. Protein shakes or collagen drinks marketed specifically to older women for muscle and bone health become actively harmful when consumed before bed due to their impact on kidney function and a process called autophagy that your cells desperately need during sleep. The supplement industry has convinced millions of aging women that high protein consumption, especially before bed, prevents muscle loss and supports bone density. While protein is indeed important, the timing and amount create serious problems after 70. Research from the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology shows that high protein intake within 2 hours of sleep significantly increases glomerular filtration pressure in the kidneys, your kidneys have to work harder to filter and excrete the nitrogen waste products from protein metabolism, and this workload peaks during hours when kidney function should be minimal. In women over 70, whose kidney function naturally declines at about 1% per year after age 40, this additional strain accelerates damage. A study involving over 2,000 postmenopausal women found that those consuming more than 20 grams of protein after 7 p.m. showed markers of kidney stress and had double the rate of chronic kidney disease progression over 5 years. Beyond kidney stress, late-night protein consumption directly interferes with autophagy, your cell's critical cleanup and repair process that occurs primarily during sleep. Autophagy is how your body removes damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and other cellular debris. Research published in Nature demonstrates that elevated amino acid levels, particularly leucine and other branched-chain amino acids, common in protein supplements, completely shut down autophagic processes. When you consume a protein shake before bed, you're essentially telling your cells to focus on building and synthesis rather than cleanup and repair, precisely when they should be doing the opposite. This suppression of autophagy is directly linked to accelerated aging, increased cancer risk, and neurodegenerative disease. If you're drinking collagen peptides or whey protein before bed because an influencer or supplement company told you it prevents aging, you're actually doing the reverse at a cellular level while simultaneously straining kidneys that can't afford additional burden. So what should you drink before bed after 70? Plain water in moderate amounts is safe, but even that should be limited to 4 to 6 ounces within 2 hours of sleep to avoid multiple nighttime bathroom trips that fragment sleep. Herbal teas like passion flower or valerian root don't carry the drug interaction risks of chamomile, but verify with your doctor if you're on multiple medications. If you're genuinely thirsty, your best option is room temperature water, consumed at least 90 minutes before lying down, giving your kidneys time to process it before sleep. For minerals and nutrients, focus on getting calcium, protein, and vitamins from whole food sources consumed earlier in the day, particularly at breakfast and lunch, when your body's absorption and processing systems function optimally. If you've been using nighttime beverages as sleep aids, address the root cause of your sleep issues. Examine your light exposure, room temperature, stress levels, and medication side effects, rather than trying to drink your way to better rest. Here's your complete picture of what to avoid. 1. Fortified almond milk triggers dangerous calcium spikes that your kidneys can't handle during sleep, leading to kidney stones and arterial calcification. 2. Regular cow's milk activates inflammatory pathways that prevent the normal blood pressure dipping your heart needs for recovery. 3. Chamomile tea inhibits the liver enzymes needed to safely metabolize your medications, causing unpredictable and dangerous drug level fluctuations. 4. Orange juice and sugary drinks create glucose crashes that fragment your sleep and accelerate cognitive decline through disrupted brain waste clearance. 5. Protein shakes strain your kidneys and shut down the cellular cleanup processes your body desperately needs during sleep. These aren't minor inconveniences or theoretical risks. These are research-backed mechanisms actively damaging your kidneys, heart, brain, and bones every single night if you're consuming these beverages after 70. The cumulative effect over months and years is what leads to the health crises that seem to come out of nowhere: fractures from falls, sudden cardiac events, kidney failure, dementia progression. But they're not random. They're the predictable result of habits that seem innocent but become dangerous due to the specific physiological changes your body undergoes after menopause. Now that you understand what these nighttime beverages are doing to your kidneys, cardiovascular system, and cellular repair processes, the next step is addressing the full 24-hour metabolic picture, not just what happens in the evening. There's a comprehensive system in the description that covers the complete cycle. Strategic meal timing that works with your changing hormone patterns, specific mineral and supplement protocols that support kidney function without overloading it, and daily routines designed to optimize the metabolic shifts that happen around the clock in postmenopausal women. The link is in the description below or pinned at the top of the comments. What you put in your body in the hours before sleep isn't just affecting that night. It's shaping whether you wake up 10 years from now with your mind sharp and your body strong, or whether you're managing preventable crises that began with a glass of something that seemed harmless.